I want to talk for a few minutes about how to repair a damaged relationship or a broken relationship, because a lot of times when we begin to really learn how to have successful relationships, we're already realizing that I've damaged a lot of relationships, I've broken some relationships, I did some things wrong, and now I don't know how to fix it. I don't know if it's even fixable sometimes. But there are certain steps we can take to repair a damaged relationship. If, of course, it takes two people who are willing. So if there's any willingness at all on the part of the other person, usually we can fix a damaged relationship. I want to kind of start off, though, with the idea that really in any relationship, there's one of two goals that are happening right now. Part of the first goal is usually to get closer to somebody. I want to connect more with you. Maybe we're in a new relationship, a new romance, it's a new child, a new friend. It doesn't matter what type of relationship, but we start off with the idea, I want to connect more with you, I want to get closer to you, know you more, and that type of thing. However, somewhere in many relationships, there comes a kind of offense or a kind of hurt, or there was a rejection, there was hurt feelings, there was a fight, something happened, there was an offense of some kind. And then usually what we begin to do, if we don't know how to fix that and how to repair that, is we begin to then set a new goal in the relationship. The new goal in the relationship is to distance myself from you, to put up a wall of protection against you somehow, and to make a safe distance to protect myself from further harm. And so at that point, the goal is to disconnect rather than to connect. And in any given relationship, at any given time, if you check yourself, you can pretty well diagnose, I'm either right now trying to connect with this other person, or I'm actually in the process of trying to connect less or disconnect somehow, usually based on self-protection. If a relationship has been damaged, here's usually what we can do to repair it, assuming you have two people who are willing to some degree to repair a relationship. Number one is forgiveness, which means I'm going to forgive you. Whatever hurt happened, whatever offense happened, I am willing to forgive. Trust is not free. Trust does have to be built or rebuilt. That is true. But forgiveness we offer freely because God forgave us freely in Christ. We receive His forgiveness freely, and we grant forgiveness freely. Trust may have to be rebuilt, relationships may have to be rebuilt, but forgiveness we grant freely. Forgiveness always sets me free from bitterness, from anger, from just growing darkness. And so I forgive freely. The first step really is to forgive. You hurt my feelings, you offended me, you let me down. I'm going to forgive you, I'm going to let it go and see if this can be repaired. So always the first step. The second step then is what's called confession and maybe restitution. And I'm actually going to take a verse from Luke chapter 15. It's verse 18. This is the story of the prodigal son. Maybe you're familiar with that story, that there was a father who had two sons, and one of the sons ran off, took his share of the inheritance from the father, ran off and spent it all wastefully, and then came back at some point and realized that he had deeply hurt his father. He'd hurt that relationship very badly, and he wanted to return to his father. And in Luke 15:18, this is what the young man said, I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. So the second step here in repairing a relationship is to say, wow, I need to take responsibility for what I did wrong. I'm sure I hurt you, I did you wrong, I disappointed you, I treated you unfairly. I hurt your feelings, I hurt your heart, whatever it may be. We go to the other person and with no excuses, we say, this is what I did wrong, I hurt you, I take responsibility for it, I'm very, very sorry, I ask your forgiveness if you can forgive me, and I'm acknowledging that I damaged you in some way, and I'm taking responsibility for that. We do that as forthrightly as possible. We don't make excuses. We don't try to justify it's because you did this or because I felt this way that day or I was having a bad day. We just say, I hurt you, I'm really sorry, please forgive me. The third step, and then in repairing a broken relationship, is simply communication. Once forgiveness has begun to happen, then we communicate what went wrong, what were you thinking, what was I thinking. Many times we misunderstand each other, and people have good motives, but they say the wrong thing, they do the wrong thing. And so when we communicate really openly, open our hearts and be as honest as possible, not accusing, not pointing the finger, but just opening our hearts and communicating, what we need, what we think, what happened, what we were feeling. Those many times when we get to know each other's hearts, we fix the damage. We come to understand each other. We come to accept that the other person is maybe not actually an evil ogre trying to kill me or hurt me, but maybe their motive was right and they said the wrong thing, or communication. And then number 4 in repairing a damaged relationship always is to now pour in the love. That can look a lot of ways. We're talking about in this series the 5 love languages. People have love languages. What says love to them? Find out what that person's love language is and minister to them in that way. If it's a husband or a wife situation, we know that the Bible teaches husbands need respect, wives need love and affection, and so they have differing needs. So you give your spouse what they need. If they need respect, if they need to feel loved and cherished, we begin to pour in those needs. We recognize if it's a child, children need to feel loved and safe and disciplined and those types of things, and understood and listened to. So we give the other person what they need, and we learn how to fill up their heart, how to fill up their love tank. And so if we do those 4 steps and we have 2 willing people, most relationships are fixable, are repairable.